Red armpit hair suddenly grew under my girlfriend's arm, and every night it even made a sound like an electric current. Out of curiosity, I shaved it clean while she was asleep. But unexpectedly, a chip had been implanted underneath that layer of armpit hair. I took the chip out and read the contents inside. What's even more unexpected, inside was a cloud drive containing up to 30 gigabytes of data. And in that drive, it was filled with photos of her and other men. At that very moment, I knew it was time to teach her a lesson. Otherwise, she would really think I'm just a nobody delivery guy, thinking that the small fortune of her best friend could actually protect her. Right now, in the narrow, dirty alley outside the window, exactly 10 black Rolls-Royce Phantoms have pulled up. Dozens of bodyguards dressed in black suits stand straight on this muddy ground after the rain. The old man leading them ignores the puddle on the ground, dropping to both knees right in front of me. The dozens of black-suited bodyguards behind him also simultaneously drop down on one knee. The surrounding old houses seem to tremble slightly as well. Old servant Huba, leading the 36 heavenly chiefs of the Shen clan, welcomes young master Shenmo back to his rightful position. Standing at the door looking down from above, I watch everyone kneeling at my feet and speak coldly. Huba, it's been 3 years. My training phase should end tonight, shouldn't it? Yes, exactly at midnight tonight. The training period expires. This is what the master told me to hand over to you. Inside is the token of highest authority for the Shen group, the dragon-patterned black gold card, along with the secret command to mobilize global assets. From this very moment, the Shen Group, with 13,000 subsidiary companies worldwide, 300 billion in liquid capital, and the Dark Knight private bodyguard squad that strikes fear into people, are all at the command of young master Shenmo. 3 years ago, because Shenmo refused an arranged marriage, he angrily left home. His father cut off all economic resources, leaving him with only one sentence. When you understand the importance of money, then come back. Now he finally understood. Watching his girlfriend kiss someone else right in front of him, he understood everything. Shenmo put the card away. The last bit of warmth in his eyes completely vanished, replaced instead by a sharp gaze that made people look away. Huba, do something for me. Young master, please give your command. Shenmo paused for a moment, his eyes looking toward the brightly lit wealthy district in the distance. That was where Liu Ruyan and Ye Yu were staying. The corner of his mouth curved into a cruel smile. Investigate the entire business structure of the Yi family, as well as where Liu Ruyan will go tomorrow. I want to prepare a return gift for them. Huba shuddered. He saw a towering, chilling aura of killing intent in Shenmo's eyes. Young master, the Ye family is just a second-rate clan in Jiang City, with assets worth less than 100 billion. In my opinion, there's no need to investigate. Just make them bankrupt before dawn and that will do. No, that would be too easy on them. I want them to watch with wide eyes as everything they pride themselves on collapses piece by piece. Having said that, Shenmo leaned in and sat in the car. The convoy slowly started like a black steed, quietly leaving the slum area. Inside the car, Shenmo picked up the internal satellite phone and the screen lit up. A message from the bank appeared. Dear Mr. Shenmo, your account ending in 8888 has been restored. Your current available balance is 100 billion 10,000. Looking at the number so long it was almost uncountable, he turned off the screen with a blank expression. He closed his eyes. The game has begun. Early morning in Jiang City, the sunlight pierced through the thick mist. To Ye Yu, today was a beautiful day. Last night, not only did he score the school beauty Liu Ruyan, but he also humiliated her useless ex-boyfriend, Shenmo. The feeling of physical and mental pleasure made him sleep until noon before finally waking up from the 3-meter-wide large bed. Honey, you're awake. Liu Ruyan, wearing a silk nightgown, walked in carrying a cup of coffee. Her face was flushed with satisfaction. The madness of last night and the luxury of it all made her completely forget about Mame, who cried in the rainy night. Ye Yu took the coffee cup, then reached out to pinch Liu Ruyan gently before speaking proudly. Didn't you always want that 718? Let's go buy it today. Consider it a token of our love. Really, hubby, you're the best. Liu Ruyan shrieked in pleasant surprise, throwing herself into Ye Yu's arms and giving him a kiss. Even though the 718 is just Porsche's entry-level model, within her circle of friends it was enough for her to brag about for a whole year. The Jiang City Porsche Center is one of the most premium 4S dealership in the city, decorated in an extremely luxurious style. The air was filled with the scent of expensive perfume, and the main lobby displayed all kinds of luxury cars, each wiped down until it gleamed brightly, like a piece of art. When Ye Yu walked into the lobby with his arm around Liu Ruyan's waist, they immediately attracted the warm reception of several sales staff. Ye Yu was covered in designer clothes, and the gold Rolex watch on his wrist flashed brightly, making him look like a big spender at first glance. A heavily made-up female salesperson swayed her hips as she approached. Young Master Ye, you're here. What kind of car are you looking for today? A red 911 just arrived yesterday. It perfectly suits your vibe. Ye Yu pointed at Liu Ruyan beside him with a generous expression. Today we're looking for a car for this beauty. Take us to see the 718? Yes, please, come this way. Liu Ruyan linked her arm with Yeyu's, lifting her chin like a proud peacock, enjoying the envious gazes around her. She even took out her phone and started taking selfies with the luxury cars in the showroom, getting ready to post them on social media. She had already thought of the caption, "Starting a new life, thank you for pampering me, honey." Right at that moment, the automatic door of the lobby opened again. A young man wearing a plain, black suit walked in. His outfit was very simple without any visible brand logos. But if an expert looked closely, the suit he was wearing was a custom line tailored by Italy's top tailors. The price of one suit was enough to buy half a car in this showroom. The man was tall, walking at an easy pace, wearing a pair of sunglasses that obscured his eyes. But the cold and noble aura exuding from him made the noisy showroom suddenly grow a few degrees quieter. It was Shen Mo. But after a night's rest, combined with the look meticulously prepared by Huba, he now looked like a completely different person compared to the delivery guy from before. He didn't pay attention to the showroom's sales staff, who were hesitating because he didn't drive a car here. He walked straight toward the two display platforms in the center of the showroom. There stood two store-defining treasures surrounded by red ribbons. One was a white Porsche 918 Spider, and the other was a Lamborghini full of sci-fi vibes, the Veneno. "Sir, please do not get too close." A somewhat harsh voice rang out. Shema stopped his steps and turned his head. The speaker was the female employee currently serving Yeyu and Liu Ruyan. She had just glanced over at Shen Mo, seeing that although this guy was handsome, he looked very unfamiliar. He wasn't wearing any expensive watches or jewelry on his body, so she subconsciously classified him as an internet hot boy here just to take photos. The cars here are all limited editions. If you scratch the paint, you won't be able to afford the compensation. The female employee rolled her eyes. Though she used the word "sir," her tone was full of contempt. "There is a free coffee area over there, or you can go take pictures with the McCann at the door." Hearing the commotion over here, Liu Ruyan, who was looking at the cars, and Yeyu also turned their heads. Because Shema was wearing sunglasses and had changed his hairstyle, and his aura had also changed drastically. Liu Ruyan didn't recognize him at first glance. She only felt that this man's side profile was a bit familiar, and her heart involuntarily skipped a beat. Poor guys nowadays really don't know their own limits more and more. Can that kind of person even look at a high-class car like this? Liu Ruyan chimed in. That's right, people of this kind only want to take photos to post online and pretend to be young masters, when in reality, their pockets are cleaner than their faces. Shema took off his sunglasses, revealing eyes as deep as an ice lake. He didn't look at the female employee, but instead bypassed everyone with his gaze, staring straight at the faces of Liu Ruyan and Yeyu. At that very moment, the air seemed to freeze. The smile on Liu Ruyan's face stiffened her pupils, contracting violently, as if she had seen a ghost. "Shen Mo!" she shrieked, her voice sharp and cracked. How could it be? How could it be Shen Mo? The man who was still accepting cake yesterday? The man in front of her had a noble aura, a sharp gaze and an oppressive air exuding from his entire body that made her feel intimidated. This was completely different from the man who would bow and scrape for a 5 RMB good review in her memory. "Shemo, is that you?" Yeyu was also stunned. He looked Shemo up and down, then burst into a ridiculous laugh. "Ha ha ha, no wonder you look so familiar. Turns out it's you, kid, what's up? Sold a kidney for this suit just to come here and show off." Yeyu walked up to Shemo, reaching out to pat his face, but Shenmo tilted his head slightly to dodge it. "Don't touch me with your dirty hands," Shema said flatly. His tone was calm, but it made Yeyu's hand freeze in midair. "Oh ho, acting all high and mighty now, are we? Shema, are you pretending to be a wolf in sheep's clothing? This is the Porsche Center, not your delivery zone. This fake knockoff suit must have cost you a lot, huh? What planning to come here and hook a sugar mommy?" When the female employee heard that he was a delivery guy, her gaze became even more contemptuous. She stepped forward to block Shenmo, pointing toward the door. "Sir, please leave immediately. We do not welcome improperly dressed people, and even less do we welcome people who come to make trouble." Shema lowered his head, looked at his own high-end suit worth 3 million RMB, and then smiled. "Your taste in fashion is indeed only worthy of selling those cheap entry-level cars." Having said that, he pointed at the 718 that Liu Ruyan was looking at. "Are you insulting? Who are you calling out?" The female employee snapped furiously. "Security, security, where are you? Throw this troublesome poor guy out," Yeyu shouted, acting like he owned the place. Hearing the call, the security guards surrounded them, holding rubber batons and glaring at Shenmo. Standing to the side, watching Shenmo being surrounded, Liu Ruyan felt an indescribable surge of pleasure in her heart. No matter what you've changed into, your true nature is still just a dirt poor loser. In this place, money is king. Shenmo, stop trying. Just get lost and stop making a fool of yourself here. You can't even afford a single tire of the cars in here. Shenmo didn't even bother to look at the security guards. He pulled the dragon-patterned black gold card out of his pocket, held it between two fingers, and waved it in the air. "I came to buy a car. Call your manager out here. Buy a car." holding that trash card and pretending it's a VIP black card. This kind of card sold for 9.9 online at most can only fool a child. And you still demand to call the manager? Are you even worthy? The female employee also sneered, "Sir, stop acting. If you can afford the cheapest wheel in this showroom, I will eat these high heels today." Is that so? The corner of Shenmo's mouth twitched. Right at that moment, the door of the manager's office on the second floor was suddenly pushed open with force. A middle-aged man in a blue suit stumbled out. Just now, when he saw that card through the surveillance camera, he almost fell off his chair. As a veteran luxury car manager, he had been fortunate enough to see an image of this type of card before. It wasn't a standard black card. It was the legendary dragon-patterned card that was exclusively used internally by the Shen financial tycoon clan. The owner of this card possessed wealth equivalent to a whole nation. "Stop. All of you stop right now, for me," the manager shouted as he ran, because he was running too fast. He even slipped on the stairs. But ignoring the pain, he scrambled and crawled his way into the crowd, shoving aside the security guards and the blocking female employee. The female employee was shoved off balance, still failing to react, before seeing the usually arrogant manager, now dripping with sweat and pale-faced, bowing deeply while frantically wiping his hands on his pants, then shaking as he extended his hand towards Shenmo. "Mr. Shen, I didn't know you were honoring us with your presence. Please forgive my lack of respect." "Damn it, absolutely damn it." The manager's voice trembled. The whole lobby fell dead silent, the smile on Yeyu's lips freezing. Liu Ruyan's mouth popped wide open in a circle. As for that female employee, she stood frozen in place like she'd been struck by lightning. What's going on? This delivery guy is an honored guest. Shenmo didn't shake the manager's hand, only giving him a light glance. And pointing at the female employee next to them, she said she would eat this shoe. The manager froze for a second, then immediately understood. He turned around and delivered a fierce slap to the female employee's face. Smack, the sound of the slap, echoed crisply throughout the lobby. "You blind dog, how dare you offend even young Master Shen? Hurry up, get down on your knees to apologize to young Master Shen, and then eat the shoe." The manager roared, and the female employee, having been beaten, clutched her face and collapsed to the ground. Shaking uncontrollably, Shenmo didn't even spare her a glance, walking straight toward the Lamborghini Veneno and patting the car body lightly. "I'll take this car, that 918 over there too, and that one over there as well. These few cars, wrap them all up and deliver them to the Cloudtop Celestial Palace Hotel. All of them." The manager felt like he was about to suffocate. These cars added up to nearly 200 million RMB. "Swipe the card." Shenmo handed over the black card. When the POS machine printed out a long receipt, the whole lobby fell dead silent. Only Yeyu and Liu Ruyan had faces as white as sheets, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. They looked at Shenmo's calm back, and an unprecedented wave of fear welled up in their hearts. Heavens, it seems the transaction was successful. This electronic notification sound inside the dead silent Porsche Center felt like a countdown to zero after a nuclear blast. The POS machine spat out a long receipt. That was the verdict of money. The manager used both hands to lift the receipt with trembling fingers. The number on it was so long that he 186 million paid in full all at once, no installments, no loans. It was just a few seconds of data exchange. He abruptly raised his head, his gaze towards Shenmo no longer like looking at a person, but like looking at a living god of wealth walking among mortals. He had been working in this industry for 20 years and had seen young masters buying cars like buying groceries. But he had never seen anyone buy limited edition supercars like this. Like buying cabbages, without even asking the price. Buying whatever he pointed at like a godlike tycoon. Young Master Shen. The manager's voice became sharp and hoarse due to overexcitement. He bowed and handed over the black card and the receipt. Shenmo casually took the card, not even looking at the receipt. As if the amount swiped just now wasn't nearly 200 million RMB, but just 200 RMB. He turned around, his gaze bypassing the manager, and stopping on the female employee who had collapsed to the ground. "The shoe is still there." Shenmo's voice was very soft, but it carried an absolute coldness. The manager shuddered, and immediately turned to roar at the female employee. "Didn't you hear what young Master Shen said? Will you eat it yourself, or should I have someone feed it to you?" By now, the female employee was scared out of her wits. She looked at Shenmo, the poor guy she had just despised. Right now, the aura radiating from him made it impossible for her to even open her eyes. Crying, she crawled toward Yeyu and Liu Ruyan. "Young Master Ye, Miss Liu, save me. I only did it because I wanted to stand up for the two of you. That's why I..." Yeyu's face was completely pale at this moment. He stared intently at the black card in Shenmo's hand, his eyes a mix of shock, jealousy, and deep suspicion. "Shut up, you embarrassing disgrace." Yeyu kicked away the female employee clinging to his pants leg, then took 2 steps forward, forcing out a cold smile as he looked at Shenmo. "Impressive. I didn't expect you to hide it so well. But nearly 200 million RMB. Where did a delivery guy like you get so much money?" Liu Ruyan also snapped out of her shock. She absolutely refused to believe that Shenmo was a young master. If he were a young master, then what was her eating instant ramen with him and living in a basement for the past 3 years all about? Not only would she be blind, but she would also become the biggest joke in the world. This cognitive dissonance made her instinctively start looking for excuses. That's right, Shenmo, where did you get the money? Did you do something illegal? Or did you steal some boss's black card? Ordinary people can't possibly get one. How could an orphan like you possess something like this? Yeyu's eyes lit up as if he had found a logical explanation. That's right, a black card doesn't just require money, but it also requires a very high family background and social status. Shenmo has been trampled under my feet like a dog for the past 3 years. How could he turn his life around overnight? Turns out he stole it or found it. Yeyu regained his confidence once again. He pointed at Shenmo and said loudly to the manager, "Manager, take a closer look. I know this kid's background best. He's just a dirt poor delivery guy. This card definitely doesn't belong to him. If you hand the cards over to him and wait for the real card holder to come looking, your store will be in deep trouble. When that time comes, your manager position." Hearing this, cold sweat poured off the manager. He also felt that this matter was way too bizarre. What kind of delivery guy suddenly pulls out a black card with a limit of hundreds of billions? He looked at Shenmo hesitantly. "Young Master Shen, about this matter." Shenmo looked at the drama put on by these clowns, the corner of his mouth curving into a mocking smile. Shenmo spun the black card in his hand, the dragon pattern dancing across his fingertips. "Yeyu, your vision is only limited to that kind of thinking." Right at that moment, the walkie-talkie in the manager's hand suddenly rang. From inside, the terrified voice of the chief financial officer came through. "We just received an encrypted line from the bank headquarters. They have confirmed the transaction just now and they demand that we activate the highest level of security in the showroom to ensure the safety of Mr. Shen's vehicles. They said Mr. Shen is one of the top 10 supreme clients globally. If he is insulted in our store, the bank will immediately terminate all cooperation with our group and file a lawsuit." The phrase "top 10 globally" felt like a sledgehammer smashing violently into the manager's head, making his legs turn to jelly. If it was just a suspicion earlier, then now it was an official certification from the highest financial institution. "Did you hear that?" Shenmo coldly looked at Yeyu and Liu Ruyan, whose faces were now completely pale. Their pride was completely shattered at this moment. "Still want to call the police to arrest me?" Yeyu's lips trembled, his throat feeling as if choked by a piece of burning coal, unable to say a single word. As for Liu Ruyan, she staggered, clutching Yeyu's arm tightly. Her nails dug into his flesh, and the pain helped her realize that this was not a dream. It was all real. The man she despised and abandoned was actually a hidden dragon. Shenmo didn't even bother to look at the scumbag couple. He walked straight to the front of the Lamborghini Veneno. The car lines were as sharp as a blade, the silver-gray carbon fiber shell exuding a deadly mechanical beauty under the lights. This car is a limited global production, the ultimate dream of countless men. The bodyguard respectfully opened the scissor door and Shenmo sat in the cockpit, instantly feeling the embrace of the leather seat. He pressed the red start button. The roar of the V12 engine exploded inside the enclosed showroom, like a waking beast. That roar was not just a sound, but also a release of pure power that made people's hearts race. "That 918 and the remaining cars. Deliver them to Cloud Top Celestial Palace. I'll drive this one." Yes, young Master Shen, have a safe trip." The manager and the entire staff bowed 90 degrees to see the guests off. This fighter jet of the ground slowly glided out of its spot. When the front of the car passed by, Yeyu and Liu Ruyan, Shenmo stopped. The car window rolled down, revealing his cold side profile. With his sunglasses on, Liu Ruyan heard this familiar voice. Liu Ruyan shuddered instinctively, wanting to force out a smile, wanting to explain, and wanting to rush to the passenger seat of this car. Originally it belonged to her. Shenmo's voice lacked even a hint of emotion, cold, as if pronouncing a death sentence. "Furthermore, Yeyu, go back and tell your father to clean up your company's financial books nicely, because the auditors are coming." Without waiting for the two to react, Shenmo stepped hard on the gas pedal. The Lamborghini Veneno let out a loud roar, the tires frictioning against the ground, creating 2 black tracks, turning into a flash of silver-gray lightning. Rushing out the door, the showroom disappeared into the bright, blinding sunlight, leaving behind only the thick smell of exhaust smoke and 2 people standing frozen in place in the dead silent lobby. That female employee was still sobbing on the floor, holding a high-heeled shoe in her hand, completely at a loss for what to do. A long time later, Yeyu gritted his teeth and spoke in a trembling voice. "Auditors, what does he mean by that? He's just bluffing, right?" "He's definitely bluffing." Liu Ruyan looked out at the empty showroom entrance, her heart feeling as if a piece of it had been gouged out. She suddenly remembered last night's rainy night, and Shenmo's words when he held the cake, "You will regret this." Now she truly regretted it. Not regretting because she betrayed him, but regretting why she didn't endure for a few more days, and why she didn't discover Shenmo's true identity sooner. If they hadn't broken up yesterday, then right now, the person sitting in the passenger seat of that Lamborghini would have been her. That was a position coveted by countless girls. Liu Ruyan turned her head to look at Ye Yu beside her, suddenly feeling that this wealthy young master who once made her proud, compared to Shen Mo, who just drove away in that masterpiece, was nothing more than a country bumpkin. What are you looking at? Embarrassed and infuriated, Ye Yu shoved Liu Ruyan away. It's all because of you. If it weren't for you, how could I have provoked this kind of monster? Get lost for me. On the streets of Jiang City, a bright Lamborghini Veneno glided like a phantom through the traffic. Shamal held the steering wheel with one hand as the scenery outside the window flew back. The roar of the engine and the shocked, stunned gazes of onlookers finally brought a trace of warmth to his heart, which had been frozen for 3 years. This is the power of money. It can make someone who was arrogant to you a second ago kneel down and lick your boots the next second. It can make a goddess who was once out of reach turn into a discarded piece of trash that can be thrown away at any time. But Shamal didn't feel all that happy. On the contrary, a deeper sense of emptiness washed over him. The first step of revenge had been carried out, but it was still not enough. He glanced at the passenger seat. It was empty. He had imagined countless times before that if he had money, he would definitely buy a nice car, to take Liu Ruyan out for a drive, to go to the beach and watch the sunrise. Now that he had the car, and it was 10,000 times better than the best car in his dreams, the person he wanted to take was no longer worthy. Fatty. Shemo suddenly remembered this name. During his most difficult 3 years, besides Liu Ruyan, he only had this one friend. Wang Dawei, nicknamed Fatty, had carried materials at construction sites with him and delivered goods with him. Fatty was an orphan whose life was even more miserable than his, but he was incredibly loyal. Now that I'm rich, how could I forget you? Shemo's gaze softened. He steered the Lamborghini sharply at the intersection, executing a beautiful drift, turning around and heading toward the old auto repair shop in the west of the city. That was where Fatty worked. Dawei. The auto repair shop was located at a dirty corner of the street. It was currently midday and the sun was scorching hot. A big-built but slightly chubby young man was lying under the chassis of a battered old van, holding a wrench and dripping with sweat as he tightened bolts. This was Wang Dawei. Fatty, you fat piece of trash. Hurry the hell up. I'm in a rush to deliver these goods. The van driver, a bald man with tattoos, was sitting down, smoking a cigarette on the roadside. His eyes were bloodshot as he urged him, "It's just an oil change. Why is it taking forever? Do you think I won't stiff you on the money?" It's almost done. Done right now. Fatty crawled out from under the car, wiped his sweat and smiled flatteringly. "Brother Chiang, your car's chassis is a bit rusted. I went ahead and did some rust proofing for you free of charge." "Cut the crap. Who asked you to nose into my business?" The bald man named Brother Chiang spat on the ground, stood up and walked over. "How much is it in total? Oil and filter change, it's 280 RMB in total." Fatty rubbed his hands. 280. Brother Chiang glared as if he had just heard something absurd. "Are you robbing me? I gave you face, but you don't know how to appreciate it, do you?" Brother Chiang's face darkened and he kicked Fatty in the stomach. Fatty was caught off guard and fell flat onto the ground, the wrench in his hand dropping with a loud clatter. "Me repairing my car at your place is doing you a favor in this area. Who doesn't know about me, Brother Chiang? No one. How dare you ask me for money? Are you tired of living? Do you want to collect protection money?" Brother Chiang cursed while calling out to a few thugs who were playing cards across the street. "Brothers, this fat guy said I stiffed him and even wants to scam me. What do you guys think we should do? Then we'll just have to straighten out his bones." The thugs threw down their cards, laughed sinisterly, and surrounded him. In their hands, they held steel pipes and wrenches. Clearly, a bunch of local thugs used to getting their way. Fatty's face turned pale, but he didn't back down, instead gritting his teeth and standing up. Though he was gentle, he wasn't without a fierce side. More importantly, these past few days marked the anniversary of his grandmother's death, and he urgently needed this exact amount of money to buy ritual offerings. "People must be reasonable. I won't take the money anymore, alright? You guys just leave." "Leave, it's too late. That kick just now dirtied my shoe. You must compensate me 2,000 RMB. Hand it over and this matter is settled. Otherwise, I'll smash your ragged shop to pieces today. You guys are bullying people too much." Fatty roared, clenching his fists. "How dare you glare back, beat him up for me." Brother Chiang ordered and the thugs rushed forward, steel pipes raining down like crazy. Though Fatty was strong, one person was no match for a crowd. He was quickly beaten to the ground, only able to curl his body up and cover his head tightly. Many curious onlookers gathered around, but no one dared to say a word today. Everyone knew Brother Chiang was a member of the Black Dragon Society. Who would dare provoke him just as Fatty felt his arm was about to be broken? A low engine roar like thunder suddenly drowned out all the noise. This sound was too distinctive, carrying a piercing shriek that tore through the air, like the firing sound of a high-tech weapon. The people who were beating him stopped instinctively and turned their heads to look, only to see a silver-gray supercar at the end of the alley, like a futuristic battleship, driving in with a highly oppressive stance, slowly with its body low, almost hugging the ground. The complex aerodynamic kit gleamed with a cold light under the sun. In a place filled with tricycles and battered old cars, the appearance of this car was like an alien spaceship landing in a swamp, creating a spellbinding visual shock. Holy shit. A thug stood dazed, the steel pipe in his hand almost dropping. A Lamborghini, I think it cost tens of millions. Brother Chang was also stunned. Even though he was in the underworld, he was just a nobody here. With a luxury car of this caliber, he wouldn't even dare to touch the car's logo. The car stopped 5 meters away from the auto repair shop. The scissor door slowly lifted up. A foot wearing a shiny leather shoe stepped onto the greasy ground. Next, Shemo stepped down. He took off his sunglasses, his gaze sweeping across the thugs, and finally stopping on Fatty, who was covered in grease and dirt. The corner of his mouth, his eyes instantly became cold to the extreme. Shenmo. Fatty squinted his swollen eyes, looking through the gaps of his fingers, his entire body freezing up. He couldn't believe his own eyes. The man wearing a high-end suit and driving a 10 million supercar was actually his brother, who used to eat instant ramen with him. Who the hell are you? Don't nose into my business, Brother Chang. Though trembling in his heart, couldn't lose face in front of his underlings and shouted stubbornly, "This fat guy owes me money and we are just collecting the debt." Shemo completely ignored him, walking straight to Fatty's side and bending down to help him up. "Can you still walk?" Shemo pulled out a pure white handkerchief, gently wiping the blood from the corner of Fatty's mouth. His movement was gentle, as if wiping a precious artifact. The handkerchief, worth thousands of dollars, was instantly stained red and ruined. "Ha ha, Mo. I'm fine, I'm just thick-skinned and fleshy." Fatty grinned, touching his wound and grimacing in pain. Did you strike it rich? Or did you get sponsored by a sugar mommy?" "The challenge is over, so I'm showing my hand." Shenmo patted his slightly sore shoulder. 689, brother, I've let you suffer. "Hey brother, I've made you suffer." Having said that, he turned to face Brother Chang's crew. The warmth from just now vanished instantly, replaced instead by the sheer majesty of a superior being. Which leg kicked him just now? Shemo's voice wasn't loud, but it exuded a chilling, oppressive aura. Brother Kiang swallowed hard and shouted, acting tough. "What's up? Think you're a big shot just because you have money. Let me tell you. This area is protected by the Black Dragon Society. I'm Brother Bao's man. Just try touching me and see. The Black Dragon Society, Brother Bao." Shema tilted his head slightly, as if he was thinking about this name. "Scared, huh? If you're scared, hurry up and compensate me, then get the hell out of here. This car isn't bad. Let me and my brothers borrow it for a few days." Seeing that Shenmo didn't say anything, Brother Chiang thought he was scared, so his confidence grew. He reached out, intending to touch the car door of the Veneno. A tragic scream tore through the air. No one saw clearly how Shenmo moved. They only saw him suddenly grab Brother Chiang's outstretched wrist and twist it backward. Brother Chiang knelt flat on the ground from the intense pain, cold sweat instantly soaking through his shirt. "My hand, get him. Kill him for me," Brother Chiang screamed tragically. The thugs looked at each other, relying on their numbers, and rushed forward with their steel pipes. Fatty was terrified, instantly wanting to rush forward and shield Shenmo. But in the next second, a scene that he would never forget unfolded. Shenmo didn't retreat. Instead, he took a step forward. His movements were as fast as a phantom. Every strike was precise, and ruthless, aiming directly at their weak points. He dodged a steel pipe, delivering a punch right into his opponent's ribs. That thug flew 2 meters away, foaming at the mouth. He executed a side kick, and the two thugs rushing forward felt like harvested wheat, collapsing at the same time, while clutching their shins and howling. In less than 10 seconds, the 5 armed thugs were all sprawling across the ground, groaning in pain. This was a mandatory class for the heir of the family. During the 20 years before he was exiled, Shamiyu had undergone devilish training by top special forces instructors in the world. His physical fitness had declined over the past 3 years, but dealing with a few thugs was as easy as turning over his hand. Shema adjusted his slightly messy cuffs. "The on-the-road price of this car is 98 million RMB. Your dirty hand just touched it. Charging you a 1 million RMB cleaning fee isn't too much, right?" "Not too much, not at all. Furthermore, I also like to be reasonable. That's my brother. You kicked him, so taking one of your legs is also very reasonable." Please don't, big boss. I was blind, I'll pay. I'll pay for the medical bills." Brother Chang was scared shitless. He actually wet his pants. A foul, pungent odor spread around. Shemo frowned in disgust and withdrew his foot. "Tell that Brother Bao or whatever of yours, if he's not satisfied, tell him to come to Cloudtop Celestial Palace to find Shenmo." Yes, thank you, young Master Shen. Thank you, young Master Shen. Thank you, young Master Shen." Brother Kiang felt as if he had received a grand amnesty. Ignoring the pain in his hand, he led his underlings away, not even daring to take his old van. At this moment, none of the surrounding neighbors expected that Shenmo, who was usually gentle and even a bit weak, could fight so well and be this wealthy. Fatty stood in place looking at Shenmo's back, his eyes completely dazed. "Fatty." Shenmo turned around and walked over to Fatty, looking at his dirty clothes with mock disgust. "Close down this ragged shop." "Huh. If I close it, what will I do?" "Drive for me. Monthly salary of 100,000 RMB plus a year-end bonus. Furthermore, Your grandmother's grave should also be renovated. I've already had someone at the Shishan cemetery reserve a prime feng shui plot for you. Fatty was a real man who would bleed but not cry. Yet at this moment, he couldn't hold back his tears. He knew Shamo wasn't giving him charity, but was pulling him up, using this method to preserve his pitiful little self-esteem. But brother Mo, my driving skills with this kind of car, my hands shake. Your hands will shake, but you'll get used to it. Let's go. I'll take you to wash up first and change into some decent clothes. There's a party tonight and we brothers are going to crash it. What party? A class reunion. 784, a trace of coldness flashed in Shenmo's eyes. A cold gleam flashed across Shenmo's eyes. There are some people whose accounts need to be settled. The high school class group chat of Jung City was usually as quiet as a stagnant pool, with only occasional group buy links or sales advertisements being sent. But today, the group chat exploded with activity. The class monitor Zhang Ji tagged everyone with a piece of hot news. Our class beauty Liu Ruyan is organizing a class reunion tonight at the Imperial Hotel. All expenses will be covered by Liu Ruyan's fiancé, the outstanding young entrepreneur of our Jiang City, Young Master Ye. Everyone must show up and give some face. Damn, the Imperial Hotel is a 5-star hotel. Young Master Ye is way too generous. So envious of Liu Ruyan, she married into a wealthy family. Thinking back to those years, so many guys in our class were pursuing her. But in the end, it was still Young Master Ye who brought the beauty home. A certain someone probably won't dare to show up, right? I heard he's still out delivering goods. Coming there would be way too embarrassing. Shenmo. The group chat was instantly filled with a joyous atmosphere, everyone tacitly understanding the mockery aimed at Shenmo. Back then, when Shenmo was the top student, the class beauty Liu Ruyan pursued him, making countless people jealous. Now seeing the fallen genius, the feeling of being able to trample on him made this crowd of mediocre people exceptionally excited. At this moment inside the presidential suite of Cloud Top, Shenmo was sitting on an imported Italian genuine leather sofa, holding a glass of expensive golden wine in his hand, watching the messages continuously floating across his phone screen. Fatty had changed into a custom-tailored black suit, though his figure was still a bit round. Clothes make the man. Right now, he looked like a gold-tier bodyguard who wasn't to be messed with. He stood behind Shenmo, looking at the messages in the group chat, gritting his teeth in anger. These bastards back then, when they needed help with schoolwork, they called you Brother Mo. Now every single one of them is licking Yeyu's boots like a dog. Brother Mo, let's not go and take this humiliation. Or should we just send the entire fleet of cars to scare them to death? Why shouldn't we go? Shenmo set his wine glass down, his long, slender fingers lightly swiping across the screen. They've already set up the stage. If I don't show up to act in this play, won't it fail to live up to Liu Ruyan's good intentions? Right at that moment, inside the group chat, Liu Ruyan suddenly spoke up. Everyone, although Shenmo and I have broken up, he is still our classmate. Shema should come tonight too. Yeyu said he specially reserved a seat for you. Don't feel insecure. We are all old classmates. No one will laugh at you. Furthermore, Yeyu's company is recently hiring security guards. If you're interested, just say the word. This message seemed generous on the surface, but in reality, it was incredibly malicious. Not only did it frame Shenmo as an insecure, low self-esteem loser, but it also used a security guard position to humiliate him. More importantly, Liu Ruyan was putting on an act. She was showing off. Whether Shenmo's performance at the Porsche Center this morning was just a flash in the pan, she was betting that Shenmo wouldn't dare to come. Or even if he came, it would just be a bluff. If Shenmo didn't come, it proved he had a guilty conscience. And that black card from this morning definitely had issues. If he came, he would be walking straight into a trap. Yeyu had already arranged everything at the hotel, preparing to expose his bluff in front of everyone. Shenmo looked at the message, letting out a cold laugh. Will arrive on time. The moment these 4 simple words were sent, the group chat fell silent for a few seconds. Haha, quite courageous. Then I'll be waiting for you at the Imperial Hotel. Remember to dress decently, don't wear delivery clothes anymore. The Imperial Hotel has a dress code. Hahaha. Shenmo turned off his phone, stood up and walked to the front of the giant floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the bustling traffic of the city beneath his feet. Uncle Hu, whose property is the Imperial Hotel tonight? Young Master, the Imperial Hotel is a property of the Li family. However, the Li family's capital chain is currently broken, and they are seeking capital from our Shen group for an acquisition. With just one word from you, the Imperial Hotel will be yours within 10 minutes. No need to rush, just let them dance around for a bit. Prepare the acquisition contract. Tonight, I want to give Yeyu a big present. In addition, tell Fatsi not to drive that Veneno anymore. Man, not driving the Veneno, then what car should we drive? Drive that 918, the corner of... Shemo's mouth curved into a wicked smile. Being too flashy is no fun. Let's play along with them. If they want to see a joke, then let them laugh all they want. The happier they laugh, the harder they will cry later. Furthermore, Uncle Hu prepare a special gift for me. What does the young master want? A bell, cast from pure gold. Giving a bell. Uncle Hu and Fatty looked at each other, both seeing the shock in each other's eyes. Giving a bell means sending someone to their grave. The young master completely wants to tear off all faces, making it a life and death struggle 7 p.m. The entrance of the Imperial Hotel was crowded with luxury cars. Ye Yu and Liu Ruyan stood at the door of the banquet hall welcoming guests. Ye Yu deliberately wore a white suit today, his hair slicked back with shiny gel. Looking like a groom, Liu Ruyan wore an expensive backless evening gown, her neck adorned with a glittering diamond necklace. Although it was a rental, she still looked glamorous and wealthy. Honey, do you think that Shenmo really dares to come? Liu Ruyan asked with a slight sense of unease. Even though they had checked the financial books of the Ye family and there were temporarily no issues, the scene from this morning was still a shadow lingering in her heart. Rest assured, I already asked someone to investigate. That global limited edition black card, if it's not the actual owner using it, the bank will immediately freeze the card and call the police. This morning, he definitely just found a tycoon's card, or stole it. By now, it has probably been blocked by the bank, and he's likely hiding under his blanket, trembling in fear. Really. Absolutely guaranteed. Furthermore, I already instructed the hotel's security captain. As long as Shenmo dares to show up, no matter what car he drives, stop him at the door and search him first. I don't believe he can play any more tricks. An old battered green taxi pulled up at the main entrance of the hotel. The car door opened. Shenmo, wearing a set of black casual clothes, looked very ordinary. But it was actually a high-end designer brand worth tens of thousands of RMB. He stepped out of the car with Fatty following closely behind. Seeing this scene, the classmates standing at the door immediately burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha, look over there. He actually arrived in a taxi. Killing me, he can't even afford to rent a car. Oh my, is this the former heartthrob of our school? How pathetic. Ye Yu and Liu Ruyan looked at each other, the heavy stone in their hearts finally settling down. He was still the same familiar poor guy, not changed at all. This morning was indeed just an act. Ye Yu adjusted his clothes, flashing a winner's smile, as he took large strides forward. Oh, great young Master Shen has finally arrived. Why are you taking a taxi? Where is your Lamborghini? Where is your black card? Was it confiscated by the police? Ha ha ha. Shenmo stood at the bottom of the steps looking at Ye Yu up above, his gaze as calm as a water. Traffic was heavy, so I took a taxi. As for the black card, it's meant to be swiped for people who deserve it. Swiping it for you guys. You don't deserve it. The banquet hall of the Imperial Hotel was decorated in an extremely luxurious manner. Giant Swarovski crystal chandeliers hung down, thousands of light beams illuminating the entire hall, making it as bright as day. The tableware was custom made with gold plating. The tablecloths were Suzhou silk, and even the air carried a faint sweet smell of fermented money. More than 30 old classmates had already taken their seats by now. Most of the men wore ill-fitting suits, trying hard to mimic the posture of successful people. The women gathered together to compare their handbags and jewelry, their eyes hiding shrewd, calculating looks. When Shenmo and Fatty pushed the door open and walked in, the originally noisy hall suddenly fell silent for a moment, followed by even more blatant whispers. He actually came. His mental fortitude is really something. Look at the clothes he's wearing. There isn't even a logo. It must be some roadside junk. Who is that fat guy next to him? Is he a delivery guy too? Why does he smell completely like chicken grease? Ye Yu sat in the highest seat of the main table, swirling a glass of red wine with his hand while holding Liu Ruyan in his arms, looking like a local tyrant. He sized up Shenmo, who had just entered. Yo, great young Master Shen, sit over here. Ye Yu pointed at a small round table in the corner near the exit. The main table is fully occupied. I specially reserved a polite seat for you. That spot is closest to the kitchen, which is convenient for you to reminisce about the feeling of delivering food. That table was completely empty, and didn't even have a full set of tableware laid out. It was clearly a prearranged humiliation. Fatty's face immediately flushed with anger, the fat on his face trembling. Just as he was about to blow his top, Shenmo held him back by the shoulder. Shenmo maintained a calm expression, walking straight to the table in the corner and sitting down, as if he were sitting on a throne rather than a ragged chair. The class monitor Zhangji stood up and tapped his wine glass, looking at Ye Yu with a flattering expression. Everyone quiet down, please. Today we can gather here. So first of all, we must thank young Master Yi for his generosity. The standard price for this meal is 8888 RMB per person plus 2 bottles of Lafite 82. Everyone, let's give a round of applause. The applause rang out loudly. Everyone looked at Liu Ruyan with envious eyes, wishing they could be in her place. Ye Yu proudly raised his hand to signal, of course for Ruyan's sake. This money is nothing. Unlike a certain someone who dated her for 3 years, but couldn't even give a decent gift, and finally gave a trash cake. Liu Ruyan covered her mouth and snickered, her contemptuous gaze glancing toward Shenmo in the corner. Young Master Ye, don't say that. Shenmo also did his best. After all, his capability is limited, but let's not be too harsh on him. Right, limited capability. Shenmo, eat more today. Usually when you deliver food, you probably don't get to eat such good food, right? Especially this Australian lobster. Eat it while it's hot. It gets fishy when it's cold. Shemo leaned back against his chair, his fingers lightly tapping on the tabletop, creating rhythmic sounds. Yeyu, you can eat whatever you want, but you shouldn't speak carelessly. Are you absolutely sure you can afford to treat us to this meal? What, I can't afford it. Yeyu stood up, slamming the table as if he had just heard a joke. The pocket money in just one of my cards is enough to buy everything in this room. Shemo, have you gone completely crazy from your jealousy of the rich? The main door of the banquet hall was suddenly pushed open. 2 rows of tall female hostesses wearing red cheongsams lined up and walked in, holding fresh flowers and party poppers in their hands. Right after that, a wealthy-looking man walked in briskly. Behind him was the hotel's general manager and a whole line of senior executives. The lineup was incredibly grand. The class monitor, Zhangji's eyes lit up and he exclaimed in shock. Oh my god, that's the owner of the Imperial Hotel. The tycoon of Jiang City's food industry, President Li Bancheng. Young Master Ye, your family has so much prestige that President Li himself came. The classmates instantly fell into a frenzy. Li Bancheng was a prominent figure in Jiang City, having connections in both the underworld and upper class and holding billions in assets. Usually meeting him even once is incredibly difficult. Yet today he actually personally came to a small class reunion to welcome them. Ye Yu was also confused because he and Li Bancheng didn't actually have a close relationship. Although his family had some money, it wasn't to the extent that Li Bancheng would personally receive them. But in front of so many classmates, especially in front of Shenmo, he had to play this show of dominance to perfection. Keep a low profile, keep a low profile. Ye Yu's face was beaming with joy as he said, "It's nothing really. He's just had dinner with my dad a few times. I didn't expect Uncle Li to be so polite." Having said that, Ye Yu held Liu Ruyan's hand and stepped forward. "Uncle Li, oh, why did you trouble yourself so much?" However, an awkward scene occurred. Li Bancheng didn't even bother to look at Ye Yu, directly bypassing him like a gust of wind. Ye Yu's hand, which was holding the wine glass, froze in midair, the smile hardening on his face, looking exactly like a clown who had been put on pause. The entire hall was dead silent. They watched as Li Bancheng led the group of senior executives, hurrying straight to the corner of the room to the lowest position, right in front of Shenmo's table. In the next second, Li Bancheng, who was usually high and mighty, bowed deeply. His back was bent almost 90 degrees. "I didn't know you had arrived, sir. I was blind and failed to recognize you. I deserve to die. I truly deserve to die." Li Bancheng's voice was loud, carrying a clear hint of panic. The general manager and the head chefs behind him were so terrified that they didn't even dare to breathe heavily, bowing their heads in greeting. Boom! It was as if a silent bomb had just exploded in the banquet hall. Everyone's brain completely short-circuited at this exact moment. Shemo, that delivery. Guys, Shemo. Ye Yu turned around abruptly, his eyes nearly popping out of his skull. "Uncle Li, did you get the wrong person? This guy is just a dirt-poor delivery guy. The person sitting at the main seat is me. I'm Ye Yu, Ye Gang's son." Li Bancheng stood up straight and turned his head to look at Ye Yu, his respectful face instantly becoming as dark as water. "Ye Gang, an upstart who does interior design is worth my attention. As for the delivery job, how can a sparrow understand the ambition of a grand eagle? Young Master Shen coming here to experience life is something that frogs at the bottom of a well like you can gossip about." Li Bancheng turned back toward young Master Shen, pulling out a file and a pen from his breast pocket, offering them with both hands. "Young Master Shen, this is the hotel stock transfer contract, following your orders. All procedures were completed 10 minutes ago. Right now this hotel, along with this entire building, belongs to you." What? This time, even Liu Ruyan couldn't help but scream. 10 minutes to acquire a 5-star hotel. That is an iconic landmark of Jiang City. Just how much money would that take? 3 billion, 5 billion. Shamia didn't even look at the contract casually, tossing it to Fatty beside him. "Da Wei, I'll hand this hotel over to you to manage from now on. Whoever is an eyesore, just throw them out." "Understood, Brother Mo." Fatty was so excited that his face flushed red as he took the file, standing up straight. Never in his life did he expect he could become the general manager of a 5-star hotel. "This feeling is so damn refreshing. Hard work for you, Mr. Li," Shemo said flatly. "Serving young Master Shen is my absolute honor." Li Bancheng wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. As long as he could cling to the giant tree of the Shen family, a single hotel was nothing. It was merely a token of submission. Shenmo slowly stood up, his gaze cutting through the crowd, stopping on the ash-gray faces of Ye Yu and Liu Ruyan. Jamal gave a half-smile. Ye Yu's legs were already trembling violently, but he still forced himself to stand tall. He didn't believe it. This was absolutely an illusion, or some high-level scam. Shema, stop playing tricks. Where would you get the money to buy a hotel? This must be an actor. That's right. Li Bancheng is also just an actor you hired. Ye Yu howled frantically, trying to use this method to hide the sheer terror in his heart. An actor. Shema shook his head, snapping his fingers. The main door of the banquet hall opened once again. 4 muscular men, carrying a giant object covered in a red cloth, walked in. That object was extremely heavy. With every step they took, the floor let out a dull thud. The men placed the object right in front of Ye Yu's main table. This is the engagement gift I am giving to the two of you. Open it and see. Trembling Yeyu grabbed a corner of the red cloth and yanked it off. A blinding golden light burst out. It was a bell, a pure gold bell almost as tall as a person. The golden pendulum swayed under the light, making a ticking sound that struck panic into people's hearts. The room fell so dead silent that even the sound of breathing could be heard. This bell weighs 999 caddies made of pure gold, signifying that your relationship will last long and firm, right until death. Shamo's voice sounded like that of a judge from hell. Liu Ruyan let out a shriek and collapsed onto the floor. Giving a bell is a major taboo curse among the wealthy, let alone such a massive golden bell. This was a blatant ultimate death threat. Yeyu was also terrified out of his mind. He looked at the golden bell, which reflected his own distorted face. Shamo, you're threatening me, I'll call the police. Yeyu screamed in a shrill voice. Shamo sneered, call the police. This bell is worth 200 million RMB. I have a legal gift invoice. What, you don't like it? Saying up to here, the smile on Shenmo's face instantly vanished, replaced instead by an absolute ruthless coldness. The play for today ends here. Fatty, clean up. Fatty took a step forward, pointed at Yeyu and Liu Ruyan and roared. Did you hear that? This hotel now carries the surname Shen. All of you get the hell out for me. Shemo pointed at the untouched dishes on the table. This table costs 8,888 RMB standard. A total of 3 tables plus 2 bottles of Lafitte, that's 300,000 RMB in total. Young Master Ye said he was treating, so pay the bill before leaving. Short by a single cent, and I'll have the security guards break one of your legs. You dare! See if I dare. Shamo waved his hand. Instantly, more than 10 security guards surrounded them, holding rubber batons, staring fiercely like tigers. Seeing this situation, Yeyu finally broke down completely. He knew he had utterly lost face today. Trembling, he pulled out his card. On the POS machine that Li Bancheng brought over 300,000 RMB was swiped. His heart bled. This wasn't just a matter of money, but a matter of his face in front of all his classmates. He was thoroughly trampled beneath Shenmo's feet, without any ability to fight back whatsoever. Shenmo, as long as the Green Mountains remain there, will be wood to burn. Just you wait. After Yeyu finished speaking, he dragged a limp, pathetic Liu Ruyan and fled from the banquet hall. The classmates looked at this scene, everyone silent as cicadas in winter. The way they looked at Shenmo, their eyes shifting from the initial contempt to extreme fear and flattery. Shen, young Master Shen, we were blind earlier and failed to recognize Mount Tai. Class monitor, Zhang Ji rubbed his hands together, trying to approach to strike up a conversation. Beat it. Shamo uttered just 2 words. Zhang Ji was so terrified that he trembled, not daring to say another word, and hurriedly retreated and ran away. The others also scattered like birds and beasts, fearing that if they ran too slowly, Shenmo would settle scores with them. In the empty banquet hall, only Shenmo, Fatty, and Li Bancheng were left. Brother Mo, that was so awesome. Fatty looked at the golden bell, grinning from ear to ear. But are we really giving this golden bell to that bastard? That's way too good of a deal for him. Shema sneered. It's just temporarily deposited with him. In a few days, I will collect both the principal and interest back. Furthermore, Shema turned his head to look out the door, in the direction Yeyu had just fled. This is just the beginning. The real hunt has only just started. Early the next morning, in the commercial center of Jiang City, an 88-story skyscraper towered high into the clouds. The characters Shen Group at the top of the building gleamed brilliantly under the sun, looking down upon the entire city. This was the branch of the Shen Financial Group located in the International Financial District. Liu Ruyan, wearing 10-centimeter high heels and big sunglasses on her face to cover up her eyes that were swollen from crying last night, walked into this building. Even though she had experienced deep humiliation last night, life still had to go on. When Yeyu went home last night, he flew into a raging fury, smashing everything that could be smashed in the house, and finally came to the conclusion that Shamo must have become a white glove for some super tycoon, meaning a money laundering agent. The black card and the hotel acquisition were just methods used by the tycoon behind the scenes. Shama was merely a puppet on the stage. This explanation made Liu Ruyan feel a bit more at ease. If Shenmo is just a puppet, then once that tycoon abandons him, he will still be a nobody. Just wait until young Master Ye gets in touch with his family connections to investigate the master behind the scenes. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant. Liu Ruyan cursed bitterly in her heart. As for her status today, she was the Deputy Marketing Director of the International Financial District Branch. This was a position that Yeyu used his connections and spent 200,000 RMB to secure for her. Even though it was just a mid-level management position in the company, being able to work at the Shen Group in Jiang City was in itself a symbol of high status. Good morning, Director Liu. Director Liu, this outfit of yours is so beautiful. As soon as she entered the office, several interns swarmed around to flatter her. Liu Ruyan thoroughly enjoyed the feeling of being surrounded like a star, and her mood improved slightly. Alright, stop with the flattery. Liu Ruyan took off her sunglasses, revealing her pretty yet arrogant face. Where is the proposal I told you guys to do yesterday? Bring it for me to look at. A girl wearing glasses who looked gentle timidly handed over a document file. Director Liu, this is the proposal. Xiao Zhang and I stayed up all night to finish it. The launch plan for the new summer products, huh? Liu Ruyan took it, flipped through a few pages, and suddenly frowned. She violently threw the document file straight at the girl's face. The sharp edge of the paper cut across the girl's cheek, causing a streak of blood to ooze out. Is this the piece of garbage you guys stayed up all night to make? Liu Ruyan shrieked, venting all the frustration from last night onto this innocent girl. The presentation is messy and the data is also wrong. Are you guys pig-brained? What does the Shen Group pay to feed you guys for, huh? I'm sorry, Director Liu. We will fix it right away. The girl was so terrified that tears welled up in her eyes, holding her face and not daring to argue back. Fix it. No need to fix it. Liu Ruyan snorted coldly. The two of you go up to the HR department right now to process your resignation. I think that girl, Xiao Zhang, looks just like that damn delivery guy's wretched appearance. Just looking at her is an eyesore. All of you get the hell out from me. Director Liu, please. I can't lose this job. I still have to pay my rent. That is your own problem. Security. Where is security? Throw these two useless pieces of trash out. Liu Ruyan barked impatiently. Right at this moment, there was a commotion at the office door. Who is making such a ruckus? A deep voice rang out. Liu Ruyan was in a fit of rage. So without even turning her head, she cursed, "Which blind bastard is that? As fast as that? Can't you see? The director is lecturing her subordinates here. Shut your mouth for me." However, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly became dead silent. The employees who were originally watching the drama all became like ducks being strangled by their necks, staring in horror at the door and then bowing their heads in unison. Some people even began to tremble. Liu Ruyan felt that something was wrong, so she hurriedly turned around. She saw a crowd of people at the door, led by a young man. His face was cold, and his deep eyes were staring at her chillingly. It was none other than Shen Mo, and walking behind Shen Mo was actually the general manager of the International Financial District branch, the HR director, the CFO, and a whole line of executives. Usually, these high and mighty figures were now acting like elementary school students, bending their backs and following half a step behind, Shen Mo trembling, not even daring to breathe heavily. Shen Mo, Liu Ruyan was frightened out of her wits, stepping back 2 paces and bumping into the desk behind her. Why was he everywhere? This was the Shen Group. It was a place where unauthorized personnel absolutely could not enter. Why was he here? And what was with this lineup? Director Liu has quite a big temper, huh? Shema slowly walked into the office, the sound of his leather shoes on the floor echoing clearly. But he didn't look at Liu Ruyan. Instead, he walked over to the girl, handing her a piece of tissue paper. The intern received the tissue paper in a panic. Shema turned his face back, his gaze piercing like a dagger straight at her. Who did you just tell to get out? Liu Ruyan looked at the crowd of executives behind. Shenmo, her brain completely messed up. She forced herself to appear calm, pointed at Shenmo and shrieked, "Shenmo, you are truly audacious. How dare you trespass into the internal offices of the Shen Group?" President Wang hurried and called the police. He must have sneaked in here to steal trade secrets. She turned her head to look at the general manager and said hurriedly, "President Wang, look at this. This man is a rogue delivery guy. Yesterday, he even threatened me and young Master Ye. And now he even ran to our company to cause trouble. Hurry and have security break his legs." But what made her feel desperate was that President Wang, who was usually so majestic and dignified, was looking at her right now with a gaze as if looking at a dead person. "Shut up," President Wang roared fiercely, scaring Liu Ruyan so much that her whole body jolted. "Liu Ruyan, do you even know who you are talking to? This is the sole heir to our financial group, the chairman of the Shen Group and our ultimate boss, young Master Shenmo." President Wang's voice was almost a shriek due to his sheer panic. His pitch had completely broken. Boom! This shock was even more violent than the thunderstorm last night. Liu Ruyan felt the world spinning around her, her legs going completely limp as she collapsed onto the floor. The chairman, the heir. How could this be Shenmo, the person who had been with her for 3 years, who wouldn't even dare to take the bus just to save 2 RMB, was actually the crown prince of a $100 billion conglomerate? At this exact moment, everything finally made sense. Why he had the black card, why he could buy the hotel, why Li Bancheng had to drop to his knees, and why all those arrogant high-profile figures had to bow down before him. There was no white glove at all, nor was there any puppet. He was the king, the one true king, and she had personally thrown this king away like a piece of garbage. No, I don't believe it. This must be a dream. Liu Ruyan muttered to herself, her eyes completely vacant. Shema walked right up to her, looking down at Liu Ruyan from above. In his eyes, there wasn't a single trace of pity, only endless disgust. "Liu Ruyan, I already gave you a chance. I originally thought that if you could just do your job quietly in the company, I could act as if I didn't see you. But your ultimate gravest mistake was bringing that snobbish, gold-digging attitude of yours into my company and bullying my employees. Shema turned his head to look at the HR director. Investigate how she managed to get into this place. The HR director was already dripping with cold sweat, hurriedly pulling up the data on his tablet. Report to young master, she came in through the back door. The recommendation letter was from Ye Yu. She didn't go through any official interview. Ye Yu? Shemo sneered, so his hands have even stretched into my company. Very well, listen to my commands. Shemo's voice echoed throughout the office. First, Liu Ruyan used improper means to get hired, and during her working hours, she insulted subordinates and abused her authority. Fire her immediately and blacklist her industry-wide. I want to ensure that in this entire Jiang City, not a single company dares to hire her. Second, thoroughly investigate who approved her hiring. No matter who it is, fire them all and hold them legally responsible. Third, that proposal document she just threw on the floor, make her eat all of it. If she doesn't finish eating it, she isn't allowed to leave. Several bodyguards immediately rushed forward and pinned Liu Ruyan down. Don't, Shen Simo. Shen, young master Shen, I was wrong for the sake of our 3 years together. Please forgive me. Liu Ruyan wept miserably, her makeup completely smudged, looking exactly like a clown. I love you, I really love you. It was that bastard Ye Yu who deceived me. I want to come back to your side. I'm willing to endure hardships with you just like in the beginning. Humph. Shemo crouched down, looked at Liu Ruyan's hideous face, and sneered, too bad I'm no longer down bad. As for you, you aren't even worthy of carrying my shoes now. Shema stood up, took a disinfectant wet wipe from President Wang and wiped his hands as if he had just touched something filthy. Notify the legal department to prepare a lawsuit against the Ye family. Shenmo tossed the tissue away, the light of a hunter spotting its prey flashing in his eyes. If Ye Yu likes using connections so much, then I'll show him what true connections look like. I want the Ye family to completely vanish from Jiang City within a week. Walking out of the International Financial District branch, Shema sat inside the Maybach waiting at the door. Even though he had just crushed Liu Ruyan's self-esteem into pieces, he didn't feel all that thrilled. An opponent of this level was just too weak, so weak that it actually made him feel bored. His real target was the Ye family, who was always playing tricks behind the scenes. Young master Uncle Hu in the passenger seat turned his head. We just received news. Ye Yu is running around everywhere looking for connections, wanting to freeze your accounts. He has even contacted a few young masters in the capital. Shema raised an eyebrow. He's quite persistent, huh? Freezing my accounts. Does he not know that the firewall of Swiss banks is at the Pentagon level? But the Ye family seems to have clung onto a big tree recently. Uncle Hu's expression turned more serious. According to the intelligence from Dark Knight, Ye Gang, the father of Ye Yu, has recently been in frequent contact with people from the Xiao family in the capital. The Xiao family is one of the 4 great families in the capital holding immense power. If the Ye family really becomes a vassal of the Xiao family, then dealing with them might be a little troublesome. The Xiao family, Shenmo's eyes flashed with a cold light. In the global blueprint of the Shen Financial Group, the Xiao family of the capital was nothing more than a slightly larger domestic dog. The Xiao family indeed has some influence. It looks like this time, the YA family wants to find a backer to crush me whom they think is just a newly rich guy. Interesting. Shemo curled his lips. If he wants to play big, then I will play along with him. Uncle Hu helped me set up an appointment with the biggest creditor of the Ye family, who is also their absolute sworn enemy, the chairman of the Tianhai Group. That night at the most mysterious private club in Jiang City, Wang, Tianhai sat in a private room, feeling a bit restless. Today, he had suddenly received a phone call, saying someone wanted to give him a fortune. The appointment location was here. This pavilion operated strictly on a membership basis, where the initiation fee alone was 5 million RMB. The person who could book a banquet here was bound to be incredibly wealthy. The door opened and Shenmo walked in alone. He had changed into a set of casual clothes, looking just like an ordinary college student. However, the calm and unhurried aura radiating from him made Wang Tianhai, who had been buffeted in the business world for 30 years, feel a sudden wave of pressure. Are you the person who said would give me a fortune? Young man, you have quite a big mouth. Do you know who I am? Wang Tianhai, chairman of the Tianhai Group, specializing in construction materials and logistics. Recently, because the Yi family maliciously lowered prices to hijack the market, your company's capital chain is about to break. If you can't repay the bank loan next month, you will have to go bankrupt, liquidate, or jump off a building. Wang Tianhai's face changed drastically. Shenmo's tone was calm, but every word was like a piercing dagger. How did you know? Are you someone sent by Ye Gang to humiliate me? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Shema pulled out a check from his pocket and slid it in front of Wang Tianhai. This is 1 billion RMB interest-free loan. Wang Tianhai looked at the row of zeros on the check, his hands shaking violently, causing the tea in his cup to splash out. This was enough to bring him back from the dead, and even enough to turn the tables on the Ye family. What do you want? Wang Tianhai asked guardedly. There is no free lunch in this world. I want you during the construction materials bidding event 3 days from now to do one thing. Shenmo looked straight into Wang Tianhai's eyes and said word by word, go all out to attack the Yi family, driving prices below cost. However much you lose, I will compensate you. I want to ensure the Yi family doesn't get a single order and let their hundreds of millions worth of inventory rot completely in their warehouses. Wang Tianhai sucked in a breath of cold air. This wasn't just wanting to kill the Yi family, but doing it using a crazily desperate method of mutual destruction. What you don't dare. Why wouldn't I dare? Wang Tianhai slammed the table hard, his eyes bloodshot. That bastard Ye Gong has wanted to destroy me for a long time. Since a benefactor is helping me, this old man will risk his life just to bite off a chunk of his flesh. Very well. Shenmo stood up. Remember, this is just the beginning. The real play is still ahead. After Shenmo left, Wang Tianhai stared at the check, unable to calm down for a long time. He didn't know who this young man was, but he knew that the sky over Jiang City was about to change. Meanwhile, at the Ye family villa, the head of the Ye family was furiously cursing, you prodigal piece of trash. You absolute prodigal piece of trash. Just what on earth is that Shenmo's background? That even Li Bancheng had to kneel before him. Of all the people to provoke, you didn't. Yet you chose to provoke this kind of god. Dad, I didn't know either. Before this, he really was just a delivery guy. Who knows if he just won the lottery or something? You can buy the Emperor Hotel by winning the lottery. You can get a black card. Do you even have a brain? Then what should we do now? What else can we do? Now that we've offended him to death, begging is useless. We can only strike first. I have already contacted the third young master of the Xiao family in the capital. Tomorrow he will arrive in Jiang City. As long as young master Xiao is willing to step up and protect us, even if that Shenmo is a dragon crossing the river, he will still have to coil up for me. Really, the Xiao family is willing to help us. That's because I agreed to give 30% of the company's shares to young master Xiao as a meeting gift. This is all because of you, you absolute beast. But as long as we get through this disaster and wait for young master Xiao to make a move on that brat, his hotel, his money, won't they all end up being ours anyway? Speaking up to this point, the father and son looked at each other, both revealing a greedy and sinister smile. However, they didn't know that a giant net had already silently spread over their heads, and the person who cast the net was currently standing at the highest point of the city, looking at them as if looking at two lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Early morning in the city, Shenmo was sitting on the rooftop of the highest floor of the Cloud Pavilion Palace, enjoying his breakfast. In front of him was an exquisite plate of eggs Benedict. He sipped a cup of freshly brewed Blue Mountain coffee. Beneath his feet, the entire city was gradually waking up. Young master, they've taken the bait. Uncle Hu stood beside him, holding an internally encrypted satellite phone, a hint of barely noticeable joy in his voice. The people from the investigation team are already downstairs. The leader is the deputy captain, Liu Meng. Shenmo cut open the poached egg, watching the golden yolk slowly ooze out. His expression was as calm as if he were listening to a weather forecast. What's the reason? Suspecting the origin of huge funds and transnational money laundering. Uncle Hu let out a cold laugh. The IA family really played big this time. Not only did they pull strings with Liu Meng, but they also forged an overseas account statement. Although it was done very sloppily, procedurally it's enough to temporarily detain you for 48 hours. 48 hours. Shenmo put a piece of egg white into his mouth, chewing slowly. That's long enough for the YA family to spread defamatory news in the media, to ruin my reputation, then have the banks freeze my assets, and finally drive me into a corner. This plan isn't bad. Young master, do you need this old servant to use that trump card? With just a single phone call, Liu Meng will have to strip off his police uniform. Uncle Hu's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Shenmo wiped his mouth and stood up. If they want to play the drama of hitting a dog falling into the water, then I will cooperate with them to the end. Only when they think they have a guaranteed victory will that eldest young master Xiao from the capital be willing to show his face. As soon as he finished speaking, the two heavy mahogany doors of the penthouse were violently pounded on. Bang bang bang, open the door. Police business. Fatty was in the living room wiping down the vintage guitar he bought yesterday. Hearing the noise, his hands shook in shock. He looked through the peephole and his face instantly turned pale. He turned around and ran out to the rooftop. Brother Mo, this is bad. It's full of police outside. They say they want to arrest you. Dawei, stay calm. Shenmo patted Fatty's shoulder. Remember, no matter what happens until I give the order, you must not act rashly. The door was burst open, and 5 or 6 police officers in uniform rushed in. The leader had a fleshy face and a fierce gaze. It was none other than Liu Meng. Who is Shenmo? Liu Meng roared, his hand already resting on the pistol at his waist. Shenmo leisurely walked from the rooftop into the living room with both hands in his pockets. His gaze swept across the uninvited guests, finally landing on Liu Meng. I am. Someone has reported that you are involved in a major economic case. Come with us. Without another word, Liu Meng took out handcuffs, intending to cuff Shenmo. Wait a minute. Anxious Fatty rushed forward to shield Shenmo. without any evidence. On what grounds are you arresting him? Do you guys even know who he is? Obstructing official business? I'll arrest you too. Liu Meng pushed Fatty hard with immense force. Fatty stumbled and bumped into the sofa leg, grimacing in pain. Shenmo's gaze turned cold, and the aura of a supreme ruler instantly exploded, causing the veteran criminal police officers to freeze. Even a veteran like Liu Meng couldn't help but shudder. The handcuffs, I'll put them on myself. Shenmo extended both hands. But you'd better remember, putting these handcuffs on is easy, but taking them off won't be that simple. Liu Meng froze for a moment, then angrily barked, "Cut the nonsense, take him away." The news of Shenmo being arrested seemed to grow wings, spreading throughout Jiang City's upper class in just 1 hour. The Ye family villa was filled with laughter. "Ha ha ha, Dad! This move of yours is absolutely brilliant." Ye Yu looked at his phone, staring at the photo of Shenmo being escorted into a police car, laughing so hard that tears came out. "Dad, look at that. Even that brat has his day. He dares to fight us. I already said it. That brat's money definitely has a shady origin. An illegal transaction he's finished this time. Once he goes in there, even if he doesn't die, he'll have to shed a layer of skin." Ye Gong sat on the Grand Master chair, his hands playing with 2 walnuts, his face full of an old fox's smugness. To fight me, he's still way too green. Then what about his assets? Yu Ruyan sat nearby, her eyes gleaming with greed. Yesterday, after being fired, she ran back like a stray dog to Ye Yu, begging for survival. Now seeing Shenmo's downfall, she was more excited than anyone else. Don't worry, as long as he's convicted of illegal transactions, his hotel, his money in the accounts, everything will be sealed up and liquidated. Through young Master Xiao's connections, we can pull some strings, acquire them at a low price, and transfer all those assets into our hands. Wonderful. Liu Ruyan trembled with excitement. "Shenmo, oh Shenmo. This is the consequence of humiliating me. Just wait until you get out of prison and become a beggar. Let's see how arrogant you can still be." Right at this moment, the butler rushed inside. Master young Master Xiao is here. The motorcade is already outside the gate." Hearing this, Ye Gong snapped upright, adjusting his clothes, a flattering smile instantly breaking out on his face. Quick, follow me outside to welcome him. This is a true dragon from the capital, the ultimate trump card for our Yi family to rise to the top." Meanwhile, inside the interrogation room of the Jiang City Police Bureau, this place had no windows, only a blinding fluorescent lamp hanging above his head. The intense light shone directly onto Shenmo's face. Shenmo sat on the iron chair, his hands cuffed to the table, but he didn't show a single trace of panic like other suspects. On the contrary, he closed his eyes as if resting his mind. Liu Meng slammed a thick case file onto the table and roared, "Stop pretending to sleep. Confess honestly. Where did the massive amount of funds in your account come from? Who backed you up to conduct these illegal transactions? Who is your superior?" Shenmo slowly opened his eyes, adjusted to the bright light, and nonchalantly said, "If I say that's just my pocket money, would you believe it? Who do you think you are? An oil prince from the Middle East? Let me tell you, don't think staying silent will get you off the hook. We already have solid evidence in our hands. Your only way out is to confess honestly. Evidence." Shenmo smiled, his gaze like looking at an idiot. "The evidence you're talking about, is it that forged statement Ye Gong gave you? As a human, you should use your brain a little. Why didn't you investigate where the bank that issued my black card is located?" Liu Ming was startled. In fact, he also found it strange. If it really was money laundering, how could anyone be so ostentatious? Right at that moment, the heavy iron door of the room was gently pushed open from the outside. "Who allowed you in here? Can't you see I'm conducting an interrogation?" Liu Meng turned his head back angrily. But when he saw the person standing at the door, the baton in his hand slipped and fell, landing right on the top of his foot. It hurt so much that he let out a sharp cry. The person standing at the door was an old man wearing a Zhongshan suit. Although his hair was gray, his back was dead straight, exuding the majestic aura of someone who had been in a high position for many years. And behind that old man, the chief of the city police bureau and the mayor were dripping with cold sweat. Ignoring Liu Meng, the old man's gaze passed right by him, stopping on Shenmo, who was leaning back against the chair. In the very next second, the old man walked over quickly, completely ignoring everyone else, and dropped to one knee on the ground. "Your old servant, Xiao Tianhao, has arrived late to the rescue. Please punish me, young master." These words were like a thunderclap from a clear sky. The bureau chief's legs went completely weak, nearly collapsing onto the floor. As for Liu Meng, his soul left his body, making him completely forget the pain in his foot. He Tianhao, the head of one of the 4 great families, the current patriarch of the Xiao family, a tycoon in the business world, who frequently appeared on the news, was actually kneeling before a suspect and calling him young Master Shenmo, looked at Xiao Tianhao kneeling on the ground, and finally flashed a satisfied smile. "Old Xiao, that incompetent grandson of yours, has been quite imposing in Jiang City recently." He Tianhao trembled violently, his forehead breaking out in cold sweat. "Please appease your anger. Young master, it is this old servant's failure in discipline. If that beast dares to offend you, young master, this old servant will personally cripple him." Rewinding time to 1 hour ago, The entrance of the IA family villa was covered with a red carpet, and 2 rows of bodyguards stood solemnly. A Maybach with a capital license plate, 88888, pulled up. The car door opened, and a young man wearing a white suit and gold-rimmed glasses stepped down. He looked scholarly, but his eyes exuded an arrogant look that disdained everything. This was none other than the third young master of the Xiao family. Young Master Xiao, welcome. Welcome. It is truly a great honor for our Yi family. Ye Gang, along with Ye Yu and Liu Ruyan, rushed out to welcome him, their faces smiling as bright as blooming chrysanthemums. Xiao Chen covered his nose with a handkerchief, seeming a bit disgusted by the air here. He glanced at Ye Gang. President Yi skipped the pleasantries. My main purpose for coming this time is to inspect our family's investments in the south. I heard that there's a blind brat here who dares to touch the dog of the Xiao family. Despite being called a dog, Ye Gang looked extremely honored. Yes, it's that Shema guy. But rest assured, I have already thrown him into the bureau. As long as you give the order, I will make him rot in prison. You did a clean job. Xiao Chen nodded in satisfaction. Let's go. Take me to the bureau. I want to see exactly who dares to pluck a hair from the tiger's head. Hearing this, Ye Yu jumped up with excitement. Young Master Xiao. Rest assured, he has definitely been beaten half to death by now. The group fiercely headed to the city police bureau. Along the way, Ye Yu and Liu Ruyan kept slandering Hamato Shouchen, depicting him not only as a financial fraud, but also as an incredibly arrogant and overbearing prick. Xiao Chen continuously sneered in his heart as he listened, already sentencing Shenmo to death. At the police bureau, when Xiao Chen led the Ye family father and son into the lobby, they noticed the atmosphere was a bit strange. The office area, usually bustling, was now dead silent. All the police officers were standing on both sides of the corridor, their expressions solemn, as if they were waiting for some big shot. This Liu Meng really knows how to put on a show. Ye Yu actually thought this was to welcome them. Xiao Chen became even more smug. Young Master Xiao, look. This is the operational efficiency of Jiang City. Xiao Chen didn't say anything, walking with his hands behind his back to the end of the corridor where the interrogation room was. Ye Gang saw that the room door was tightly shut, and there were no guards outside. Young Master Xiao, the person is inside. Ye Gang took a step forward, pushed the door wide open, and called out loudly, Deputy Captain, Liu Yang, Master Xiao is here to inspect the work. Has that piece of trash confessed yet? His voice abruptly stopped, because he saw a scene that completely shattered his worldview. Inside the interrogation room, Liu Meng, the person who was supposed to be running the show, was currently kneeling in the corner, trembling violently. As for Shenmo, the person who was supposed to be handcuffed to the chair, his handcuffs had already been removed. An old man wearing a Zhongshan suit was leaning over, carefully using a wet wipe to clean the red marks on Shenmo's wrists. The silhouette of that old man, Xiao Chen, knew it all too well. That was his grandfather, the head of the Xiao family, Xiao Tianhao, grandfather. Standing at the door, Xiao Chen took off his sunglasses and rubbed his eyes repeatedly, thinking he was hallucinating. Hearing the voice, his grandfather, Xiao Tianhao, turned around. At this moment, he no longer had the subservient look he showed facing Shenmo. His face was flushed with rage, and his fierce gaze looked as if he wanted to swallow this bastard alive. You still dare to show your face here? Xiao Tianhao roared, grabbing the baton on the table. Disregarding his old age, he rushed toward Xiao Chen like an infuriated lion. Grandfather, what are you doing? I'm your Chen hair. Xiao Chen was scared out of his wits, not even daring to dodge. Bam! Xiao Tianhao kicked Xiao Chen right in the stomach, sending him rolling onto the floor. Then he violently slammed the baton onto the floor next to him, making Xiao Chen shake in fear. You bastard, have your dog eyes gone blind? Do you even know who you have offended? Xiao Tianhao pointed his trembling finger at Shenmo, who was currently sitting on the chair sipping tea. That is young Master Shen, the benefactor of our Xiao family, the person who holds the global economic lifeline, and you, an incompetent grandson, actually dared to help outsiders plot against young Master Shen. Do you want our Xiao family to be executed down to the 9 generations? Boom, boom, boom. Ye Gang, Liu Ruyan, and Ye Yu, these 3 people, felt as if they were struck by a bolt from the blue. The benefactor of the Xiao family, the global economic lifeline. These words exploded like nuclear bombs in their minds. They had thought Shenmo was just a newly rich guy, or maybe a puppet of some big shot. But now, even the patriarch of one of the 4 great families had to kneel and bow to him. He was the master. This wasn't just kicking a steel plate. This was kicking the detonator of an atomic bomb. Young Master Shen. Xiao Chen clutched his stomach, his face pale as he looked at Shenmo. He finally remembered what was recorded in the core secret documents of his family. The Xiao family could develop to where they were today, entirely because for 100 years, they had been dependent on a mysterious hidden clan, the Shen family, and the clan crest of the Shen family was a 5-clawed golden dragon. It's over. Everything is completely over. He hurriedly crawled up and rushed in front of Shenmo, dropping to his knees with a thud. He began slapping his own face continuously. Slap, slap, slap. Young Master Shen, I was blind. My eyes were blinded by greed. I am a beast. Please spare my life. Please take my grandfather's loyalty into consideration and forgive this grandson. Shema set his teacup down and slowly stood up. He didn't even bother to glance at Xiao Chun, who was kowtowing like pounding garlic, but instead walked right in front of the Ye family father and son who were already paralyzed with fear. Ye Gong had completely pissed his pants by now, shaking like a leaf. Ye Yu's eyes rolled back, on the verge of fainting. Liu Ruyan curled up in the corner, covering her face with her hands, not daring to look at Shen Mo. President Ye, didn't you just say you wanted to make me rot in prison? Shen Mo's voice was very soft, but in the quiet interrogation room, it was as piercing as thunder. You know, I wouldn't dare. Young Master Shen, my eyes were blinded by greed. It's my fault. Ye Gong kowtowed desperately, his forehead slamming against the floor repeatedly, until blood flowed down. And you, Miss Liu Ruyan. Shen Mo's gaze fell upon that woman. You said this is the consequence of humiliating you. Liu Ruyan trembled and lifted her head, her once beautiful face now distorted by fear. Shen Mo, please, for the sake of our past. Shen Mo, please, for the sake of our past affection. Shema cut her off coldly. I already said you are not worthy. He turned around and said to Xiao Tianhao, Old Xiao, it's too noisy in here. Clean it up. Yes. Xiao Tianhao replied. A ruthless look flashed in his eyes as he waved his hand to the bodyguards outside the door. Take these three from the Yi family away. Don't let them dirty young Master Shen's eyes. Furthermore, pass down the order. Fully cooperate with young Master Shen's next actions. There is no longer any need for the Yi family to exist. No young Master Shen spare us midst their tragic screams. Ye Gong, Ye Yu, and Liu Ruyan were dragged away. What awaited them would be a despair far more terrifying than hell itself. Shema walked out of the interrogation room. The sunlight outside was beautiful. Fatty, who was anxiously waiting at the door, saw that Shen Mo was safe and sound. Excitedly, he rushed forward and hugged him tightly. Brother Mo, I knew you would be fine, but you scared me to death. Shema patted Fatty on the back. I told you it would be fine. But the game isn't over yet. He raised his head to look at the sky, his gaze becoming incredibly sharp. Just now was only the appetizer. Next comes the main course. Let's go to the stock exchange. I want the Yi family's very last trace of existence in this world to be completely wiped out. Meanwhile, inside the VIP room of the Jiang City Stock Exchange, this is the battlefield of money, where numbers dancing in red and green decide the fates of millions of people. Right now, there are only 2 hours left before the market closes. Shema sat in the command seat. In front of him was a wall of screens, showing flashing financial charts. Behind him were 30 top traders, urgently deployed from the commission, and Wang Tianhai's forehead was drenched in sweat. Drenched in sweat. Yi family building materials. The current stock price is 28.5 yuan, with a market value of about 5 billion. Due to the rumors of the Xiao family investing this morning, it hit the daily limit. Uncle Hu reported, hit the daily limit. Shema let out a cold laugh. That is just the final glow before total annihilation. His eyes glanced at the clock. 13:30. Begin. Shenmo gently tapped the table. First wave of sell-offs break the daily price limit. 30 traders simultaneously hit their keyboards, the uniform clicking sounds sounding like machine guns on a battlefield. On the large screen, the stock price of the Ye family instantly showed, a vertical green line plunging downward. Millions of buy orders waiting at the price limit before Shemo's massive volume of sell orders were instantly swallowed up. 28.5, 28.0, 27.5. The stock price plummeted within just 5 seconds, causing panic in the market. At the same time, at the headquarters of the Ai family group, Ye Gong had just been released from the bureau, only to cooperate with Shen Mo's financial war on temporary bail. Before he could even catch his breath, the chief financial officer rushed in and grabbed his sleeve. President Yi, this is bad. Someone is dumping our stock. The price is crashing. What? Disregarding the wound on his head, Ye Gong rushed to the computer. Looking at the chart plunging straight down like a cliff, his heart pounded violently. Quick, prop up the price. Use all working capital to pull the price back up. As long as we hold out through today, the Xiao family, although the Xiao family no longer cared about them, they couldn't let themselves collapse first. Ye Gong still held onto a glimmer of hope at this moment, thinking that as long as he kept the company afloat, there would still be a chance to turn things around. He frantically threw in the final 500 million from the company's account. As the money was injected, the stock price began to stop falling, slowly crawling back toward 27 yuan. Ye Gang wiped his cold sweat, letting out a sigh of relief. It seems the opponent doesn't have much capital either. They just wanted to scare me. However, back at the stock exchange, Shema looked at the slightly rising line on the screen, the corner of his mouth curling into a mocking smile. Lure the enemy in deep. Go all in on short positions. Shema said nonchalantly. Wang Tianhai, it's your turn to hit the field. Wang Tianhai had been itching to start for a long time. He shouted loudly, I've been waiting for this. Release the announcement for me. In the very next second, a bombshell news piece blew up the entire financial world. Breaking news: Tianhai Group publicly exposes Ye family building materials. for using substandard materials involving severe engineering quality issues. This was accompanied by a detailed inspection report and internal account books. The moment this news was released, it was no different from a nuclear bomb being dropped into the market. Retail investors and institutional funds watching the market instantly exploded. Engineering quality issues. This was the fatal weak point of the construction industry. Run quick, run. Countless sell orders poured out like an avalanche. At this moment, Shenmo gave his second order. Close the net. Initiate a comprehensive short squeeze. Ignore the price, smash it until it's delisted. 30 traders unleashed their full firepower. This time, it was no longer a minor skirmish, but a total crushing blow from hundreds of billions in capital. 27.0, 25.0, 20.0, 10.0. The stock price of the Ye family was like a kite with a severed string, plummeting vertically. Ye Gong's 500 million propping fund didn't even cause a single ripple before being instantly swallowed up. Ye Gong stared at the computer screen, his eyes bloodshot and his entire body freezing cold. How did it become like this? How is this possible? My money, my company. Young master, the banks have taken action. All of the Yi family's loans have been called in. The banks have frozen all of their fixed assets. The tax bureau has also stepped in to investigate the Yi group. And 30 suppliers who used to cooperate with the Yae family have simultaneously arrived to demand their debts. Shema listened to these reports with an expressionless face. This is the war of capital. Once an avalanche happens, not a single snowflake is innocent. At 1500, the market closed. The stock price of the Ye family stopped at 2.8 yuan, plummeting by 90%. The Ai family was completely finished. The Ai family group, which was once a dominant force, had within just 2 hours seen 95% of its market value evaporate. Not only were they left penniless, but they were also saddled with a massive debt of tens of billions. Late afternoon by the riverbank, the crimson sunset reflected on the river surface. Ye Gang, Ye Yu, and Liu Ruyan. These three people sat on a stone bench by the river like stray dogs. Their villa had been sealed, their cars towed away, and even the designer clothes on their bodies had been stripped by creditors. Now they only wore tattered shirts. By this time, Liu Ruyan's hair was completely disheveled, and her eyes stared blankly at the river. Just yesterday, she was still dreaming of becoming a wealthy lady, mocking her delivery guy, ex-boyfriend. Now the cruel shattering of her dream made her want to die. A black Maybach slowly pulled up by the roadside. The car window rolled down, revealing Shemo's cold face. Fatty, sitting in the driver's seat, thoughtfully looked at these three drowning dogs. Seeing Shemo, Yeyu rushed over like a madman. Shen, young master Shen, I was wrong. Please give me a way to live. Even if I have to be a dog for you, it's fine. I have hands and feet. I can open the car door for you. Shemo looked at the man who once threw money at his face, his eyes without a single ripple. Be a dog. My dog eats a 5 Kobe beef. You wouldn't be able to afford to eat it. As for Liu Ruyan, Shemo's gaze swept over the woman who was shrinking back. A gleam of hope flashed in her eyes. She desperately wanted to use that same pitiful look from before to touch Shenmo's heart, but she forgot that her appearance right now was uglier than a beggar's. I heard you really like money. Shema took out a coin, gently flicking it. The coin drew a parabola in the air and fell into the surging river. Go down there and fish it out. If you find it, it's yours. After saying that, Shenmo rolled up the car window. The car drove away, leaving behind only exhaust smoke and the three people weeping in utter despair. Fatty, while driving, looked into the rearview mirror and sighed, Brother Mo, what will happen to those people from now on? Yigang will go to prison for economic and social crimes, and he'll highly likely die in there. Shema closed his eyes, leaning back against the seat lines in exhaustion. Yeyu carries a massive debt, so he can only work in a black brick kiln to pay it off, experiencing what life is truly like for the bottom class of society. As for Liu Ruyan, she will live in the darkest corners of this city, watching me climb to the peak step by step, watching how dazzling the things she once possessed truly are. That regret will be far more painful than killing her. That is her final ending. The car entered the bustling downtown area. The neon light shone onto Shenmo's face, intertwining light and shadow. The revenge was over, but Shenmo knew this was only the beginning. His business empire had only just laid its very first foundation. Late autumn in Jiang City. The wind already carried a chill for Liu Ruyan. This autumn was 10,000 times colder than any previous year. On the third day after the Yi family's collapse, she was evicted by the landlord from her luxury apartment downtown. The reason was simple. The rent was overdue and Yeyu, the person who used to swipe his card to pay for her, was currently wearing a prison uniform, chewing on bread in the detention center. She dragged 2 huge suitcases, standing amidst the heavy traffic, like a lonely soul abandoned by the world. It's fine, I still have these luxury goods and jewelry. Liu Ruyan comforted herself with a trembling voice. Inside these 2 suitcases was the entire harvest of her struggles over the past 3 years. Over 10 Hermes and Chanel bags, along with various types of jewelry that Yeyu had gifted her. As long as she sold them off, she would get at least a few million. With that, she could go to another city to start over and hook a new sugar daddy. She hailed a taxi and went straight to the largest secondhand luxury goods store in Jiang City. Boss, all of these bags are brand new. I can't find the receipts, but you can verify the authenticity. Liu Ruyan laid out over 10 designer bags, trying her best to maintain the arrogant facade of a wealthy lady selling off old collections. The shop owner was a middle-aged man wearing reading glasses. He put on gloves, picked up the limited edition Hermes Himalaya bag, and with just a glance at the hardware, his eyebrows furrowed deep. He then picked up a Chanel bag, feeling the texture of the leather, and finally took a Van Cleef & Arpels necklace, examining it with a magnifying glass for 10 full minutes. After that, the shop owner took off his glasses, revealing a very meaningful smile. Are you here to cause trouble, or were you scammed by someone else? What do you mean by that? These were all gifts from young master Ye Yu of the Ye family group. How could they possibly be fake? Ye Yu, huh. The Ye family is bankrupt, so don't use him to threaten me. To tell you the truth, out of this whole pile, only this worn-out LV Neverfull bag is authentic. But it's in terrible condition. At most, it's worth 2,000 yuan. Everything else is just Guangzhou super fakes, and low-grade ones at that. Even the engravings on the metal are misaligned. Boom, Liu Ruyan felt something explode inside her head, her ears ringing. Liu Ruyan screamed like a mad woman, dumping all the contents out of her bags. Look at this diamond. How can it be fake? That's a moissanite stone worth 200 yuan a pop. The shop owner lost his patience and waved his hand to dismiss her. Go away. Stop putting on a show here. Wealthy heirs using fake bags to trick gold-digging girls. I see this 800 times a year. Only a shallow woman like you would believe it. Take your pile of trash and get the hell out. Don't disrupt my business. Everything is fake. Liu Ruyan walked out of the store completely soul-crushed, holding only that old worn-out LV bag, the only genuine item she had. That was from 3 years ago. The very first birthday gift Shemya gave her. Back then, Shemo had just started working as a delivery guy. To buy this bag, he had eaten instant noodles for 3 straight months. Only the gift from that dirt poor guy was real. Yet she had thrown away the most precious, sincere affection in the world, all for a bunch of glamorous fakes. Liu Ruyan slumped onto the sidewalk, laughing and crying at the same time. Passers-by looked at her, thinking she was a crazy person. Right at this moment, the giant LED screen across the street suddenly lit up. The screen was broadcasting Jiang City's current news. In the footage, Shemo was wearing a custom hand-tailored black suit, standing in front of a skyscraper that had just been renamed the Shen Family Corporation. Behind him were the city's leaders, as well as the patriarch of the Xiao family from the capital Xiao Tianhao. The excited voice of the news anchor echoed across the entire street. Today, the Shen Family Group officially announces a 500 billion investment to build the Future City project. Young Master Shen Mo states that this project will become the largest global financial and technological hub. At the same time, the Shen Family Group announces the launch of the Thanvan Plan. The first phase will invest 40 billion to fund poor students throughout the city and grassroots entrepreneurs. The camera zoomed in close on Shen Mo. He was still as handsome as ever, but the domineering aura in his eyes showed he was no longer the gentle boy from years ago. Liu Ruyan reached out her hand, wanting to touch the man on the screen, but she could only grasp the cold air beneath the giant display. A Maybach slowly drove past. Uncle Hu, sitting in the passenger seat, said in a low voice, "Young master, I see that woman. She's by the roadside looking very miserable." Gemma turned his head coldly, looking through the one-way glass at Liu Ruyan, who was sitting and weeping by the street. Miserable. In the past, when I had a high fever and delivered food in the rain, she sat in Yeyu's sports car laughing very happily. The world balances itself out. Everyone must take responsibility for their own choices. Leave her alone. A broken person living in memories and regret is not worth another second of my time. He withdrew his gaze and looked at the documents in his hand. How is Fatty doing? Young Master President Fatty's momentum is currently sky high. He has taken over the mess left by the Ye family and is conducting an asset restructuring. Although this kid isn't highly educated, his street-smart aura is a perfect fit for dealing with those contractors. Right now at the construction site, everyone respects him. He, even specially, hired back the contractor who once broke his ribs, making him the security captain. He wants to win people over with virtue, huh? Shenmo smirked slightly. That damn fat kid has actually learned about 30% of my methods. Tell him to get ready for the dragon banquet tomorrow night. He is one of the key figure. Outside the car window, the high-rise lights were brilliant. Shema looked at this city. In just 1 week, he had climbed from the absolute bottom to the very peak. But this was not the end. Jiang City was too small, not even large enough to accommodate a single claw of a true dragon. Shemo's gaze was already directed toward places much further away. The moon shone brightly over the Emperor Hotel in Jiang City. Tonight, an unprecedented banquet was taking place here, the Shen Family Dragon Banquet. This was not just a business banquet, but a total redistribution of power. The entire Jiangnan province, and even the top families from the capital and Shanghai, considered receiving an invitation card printed with a golden dragon to be the highest honor. Traffic control had been implemented within a 5-kilometer radius, and temporarily only those with invitations could pass through. The red carpet stretched from the hotel lobby all the way to the intersection. On both sides, hundreds of black-suited bodyguards maintained order, along with dozens of camera lenses from top domestic and foreign media outlets. That's the eldest young lady of the family. She actually came too, and there's the Chen family, the shipping kings, heavens. Young Master Shen's influence is massive. Wait, who is that? They look so familiar. Oh my god. That's the ambassador. The reporters frantically snapped photos, the flashlights turning the dark night into bright day. Outside the hotel doors, a woman with messy clothes and disheveled hair was trying desperately to squeeze through the crowd. Let me in. I'm his fiancée. I'm the future Mrs. Shen. All of you let me in. Liu Ruoyan, her mind clearly unstable, pushed against the security guards. She had starved for 2 days, and her mental state was on the verge of collapse. She stubbornly believed that as long as she could meet Shen Mo, as long as she knelt down and begged him, Shen Mo would definitely soften his heart. After all, they had once loved each other. Crazy woman, get lost. The security guard pushed her to the ground in disgust. Don't you know how to look in a mirror? With that beggar-like appearance, you still want to be Mrs. Shen. The dog young Master Shen raises dresses better than you. Liu Ruoyan fell onto the edge of the cold red carpet. Her palms scraped, fresh blood flowing out. Right at this moment, a stretched Lincoln Navigator slowly pulled up. The car door opened and a fat man wearing a custom suit and possessing a sturdy build stepped down. His hair was slicked back, and although he was still a bit chubby, that aura of confidence and authority made him look just like a seasoned business tycoon. Wang Dawei. He was now the general manager of Tianyu Construction, the management company of a $100 billion engineering group. He saw Liu Ruoyan on the ground, and Liu Ruoyan saw him too. Her eyes flashed with a final glimmer of light. Fatty, Dawei, it's me. It's Liu Ruoyan. I'm your sister-in-law. Hurry and take me inside. I want to see Shen Mo. Wang Dawei stopped in his tracks, looking down at this woman who used to be so arrogant. In the past, Liu Ruoyan never even deigned to look at him, even complaining that his body smelled of sweat, and refusing to let him sit at the same dinner table. Wang Dawei let out a very cold smile. Liu Ruoyan, are you even worthy of being called sister-in-law? Please, I know I was wrong. Help me out. Liu Ruoyan crawled forward, intending to grab his pant leg. Wang Dawei took a step back, dodging her hand. Brother Mo already said that he never wants to see you again in this lifetime. That is the final mercy he has granted you. Wang Dawei took out a stack of cash, about a few thousand yuan, and threw it down in front of Liu Ruoyan. Take this money, buy the bus ticket, and get the hell out of this city. Stop staying here and embarrassing yourself. After saying that, Wang Dawei adjusted his suit and without looking back walked into the luxurious entrance. Liu Ruoyan looked at the pile of money on the ground, then looked at the entrance that was right before her eyes, yet as far away as the horizon. Finally, she completely broke down, collapsing on the ground and sobbing bitterly. Her weeping was entirely drowned out by the melodious symphony music wafting out from the banquet hall. No one cared. Inside the banquet hall, the music was melodious, and wine glasses clinked. Shen Mo stood on the second-floor balcony, holding a champagne glass looking down at the crowd beneath his feet. Xiao Tianhao of the Xiao family, the Chen family, and the Ye family from Shanghai, who could make the ground shake just by stomping their feet, were currently standing downstairs, looking up at him, waiting for him to speak. Young master, the auspicious hour has arrived, Uncle Hu reminded softly. Shen Mo nodded, slowly walking over to the microphone at the center of the balcony. The entire hall instantly fell dead silent, so quiet that even a pin dropping on the floor could be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, Shen Mo's voice traveled through the top-tier sound system, echoing in every corner. Thank you all for showing up today. I invited everyone here for only 2 things. He raised a finger, first to announce a rule. From now on, there is only one voice in Jiangnan province's business world, and that is the voice of the Shen family. Those who follow me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. The IA family is the best example. Unbelievably domineering, yet thunderous applause immediately erupted from beneath the stage. Before, absolute strength. Arrogance is true dominance. Second, Shen Mo's gaze swept across the entire hall, finally landing on Wang Tianhai, Xiao Tianhao, and the others standing in the front row. I don't like to eat alone. The Shen family warship is about to set sail, and our target is the vast sea of stars. If the gentlemen here wish to board, Shen Mo promise your future profits will increase tenfold. We are willing to follow young Master Shen to the death. Xiao Tianhao was the first to shout loudly. We are willing to follow young Master Shen to the death. Hundreds of powerful and noble figures simultaneously dropped to one knee, facing the young king on the second floor, offering their highest loyalty. At this very moment, Shen Mo had completely transformed from a delivery guy into an emperor of the business world. He looked at the dense crowd below the stage, but his heart was incredibly calm. He used to think revenge was the end point, but now, standing on the peak of the mountain, he realized that revenge was just a small pebble kicked away on his path. The scenery on the mountaintop was beautiful, but also very cold. Suddenly, a clear female voice broke this solemnity. Young Master Shen is truly magnificent. I wonder if Ye Xiaoyuan, am qualified to board this ship. The main doors were pushed open, and a woman wearing a red evening gown with an extraordinary aura walked in. Behind her were two maidservants in black, holding a stack of documents. The eldest young lady of the Ye family, known as the #1 beauty in the Wu Zetian of the business world, Ye Xiaoyuan. The entire hall went into a frenzy. This lady was famously arrogant, not even deigning to look at princes. Yet she had personally come to support Shenmo. Shenmo looked at the woman in red, and a smile finally appeared on the corner of his lips. Miss Ye shows me such respect. I couldn't ask for more. Ye Xiaoyuan walked downstairs and looked up, her beautiful eyes flashing with the excited light of finding a worthy rival. This is the transfer deed for 100 seaports in Europe, belonging to my family. Consider it a dowry that I am gifting to young Master Shen. 100 seaports. How much money was that? It was completely unquantifiable. Shamo raised his wine glass, toasting her from afar. On this night, the legend of Jiang City reached its peak. No one remembered the woman named Liu Ruyan anymore. Everyone was talking about the meeting of the two monarchs, Shenmo and Ye Xiaoyuan. 1 month later, at the Jiang City West #1 prison. This was a maximum security prison, holding major criminals, a place where even a bird with wings would find it hard to escape. Shamo, wearing a black overcoat, stood outside the visitation window. On the other side of the glass were two men with shaved heads wearing prison uniforms. Ye Gong looked like he had aged 20 years, his face full of wrinkles and his eyes muddy. As for Ye Yu, he looked like an idiot, drooling from the corner of his mouth, and constantly muttering to himself, Ferrari, Ferrari. In prison, because he couldn't handle the massive shock and was beaten by his cellmates, he had gone completely insane. Ye Gong picked up the phone receiver, his hand shaking as if he had Parkinson's. Did you come here to laugh at us? Shema looked at these two enemies who were once so arrogant. In his eyes, there was no hatred, only indifference, like looking at dust. I came to see my masterpiece, Shema said nonchalantly. Ye Gang, have you gotten used to life in here yet? Ye Gong's tears flowed uncontrollably. Young Master Shen, please get my son a private cell. He's about to be beaten to death. We were wrong before lard covered our hearts and blinded our eyes. You are a great man with a magnanimous heart. Please be magnanimous. Shema cut him off. Sorry, but my heart is actually very narrow. I remember that rainy night when Ye Yu threw money in my face. He didn't think about being magnanimous then, did he? Enjoy the rest of your lives. I will have people take very good care of you both, to ensure you live to a ripe old age. After saying that it was final, Shemo hung up the phone, ignoring Ye Gong as he smashed against the glass, and banged his head on the floor, begging for mercy. Shema never looked back, walking straight out of the prison gates. The late autumn sunlight shone upon him, but it no longer felt cold. A giant Augusta, a 139 private helicopter was parked on the grass field, the wind from the rotor blades blowing away the surrounding dry grass. Fatty, wearing a pilot jacket and sunglasses, was standing at the cabin door waving his hand at him. Brother Mo, it's time to go. The flight path has been approved. We fly straight to Shanghai, then transfer to a flight to New York. Shamo took a deep breath of the air of freedom. The matters in Jiang City were completely over. The Ye family was destroyed, while Liu Ruyan lived a miserable, lingering existence in dark alleys. Meanwhile, the banner of the Shen family was planted in every single corner of Jiangnan province. But he knew this was just the beginner village. The real battlefield was in the turbulent waters of international finance, on Wall Street, where people are eaten alive without leaving blood, and among the ancient tycoon families hiding in the shadows. Uncle Hu stepped forward, handing Shenmo an overcoat. Young master, the master has sent a message. He is waiting for you at the main headquarters. The Global Council of Family Elders is about to be convened. That is the true center of power, and those old men are not as easy to deal with as Ye Gang. That's what makes it interesting, isn't it? Shenmo took the overcoat, draped it over his shoulders, and walked quickly forward. The hem of his coat fluttered in the wind, like a battle robe. He stepped onto the helicopter and turned back to take one last look at the city where he had lived for 24 years. The humiliations, the tears, the love, hatred, and deep-seated grudges all followed the roar of the rotor blades, becoming smaller and smaller, and finally turning into a speck of dust beneath his feet. Take off, Shenmo ordered. The helicopter took off, tearing through the clouds and heading toward the horizon where the sun was rising in the east. Like a hidden dragon rising from the abyss to soar into the heavens, the story of Shenmo has only just begun.